everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Monday, December 16th, and it's Ali Coram here, joined by my colleague Justin Nielsen to break down today's market action. And it was another great day, particularly for a lot of tech stocks, Justin.
Yeah, the heat just keeps on getting hotter. Nasdaq above 20,000. Breadth still an issue, but I mean, if you're in the right stocks, who cares if not everyone's participating as long as you're doing okay? So today we're going to talk about the ABCs of stocks. We're going to include APH, Amphenol, also Dutch Bros for the BROS, and also CrowdStrike, CRWD.
There you go, Justin. We'll make it as easy as one, two, three with those ABCs. All right, sounds good. We'll take a look at those stocks, but first, let's analyze the major indexes. As Justin mentioned, the Nasdaq closing above 20,000 with some gusto here, up more than 1.2% on the day and leading the indexes by far. In second place today, I guess you could say, was the Russell 2000 small caps up about a half a percent, followed by the S&P 500 up 0.4% today. So not really the same kind of power there. And then the Dow is actually down today by about a quarter of a percent. So yet another down day here in a row for the Dow. So its longest losing streak in quite a while here, Justin. But let's start with the strength, and that is the NASDAQ. Milestone here today, and this is a rally that keeps on going here for technology.
Yeah, and it's definitely led by, some of the big mega cap companies. If you just take a look at FNGS, that is the FANG Plus. This is the non-leveraged version, and this was up 2.5%. If you take a look at FFTY, which is the IBD 50, this is run by Innovator. And this was up 1.79%. So again, a lot of these hotter stocks are kind of where the action is. Contrast that with something like RSP, which is the equal weighted S&P 500, and that was down, kind of like in the same way that the Dow has been struggling. So again, very uneven. Even looking at the New York Stock Exchange, decliners actually outnumbered advancers today. It was like by about 1,700 to 1,100, and then on the Nasdaq exchange, it was roughly even, about 2,200 each, with maybe a slight edge to the advancers. So again, not something that is being a tide that's lifting all boats, but there are some boats that are just doing fine.
Right. And, I do say technology because when you think of the NASDAQ, you do think of it as being the tech heavy index, but it really isn't just tech. It's growth, right? I mean, because you even have stocks like DoorDash. There's another restaurant stock that we're going to be looking at soon. So it's not just technology, is it, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, again, if you look at the S&P 500, the Spider sector ETFs, XLY, which is consumer discretionary, that was actually the leading sector today, over XLK, which is the tech. So again, that's S&P 500, but what we're really seeing is kind of a lot of these hotter stocks, the ones that maybe have larger ranges, the average true range between where they end up going on a daily basis from highs to lows. Those are the ones that seem to be working. And a case in point, let's just go ahead and pull up IBIT. Both you and I believe, have a position in
Yes.
this. This is Bitcoin. This is kind of the risk on, right? It's
Mhm.
gapping up to new highs here as Bitcoin crossed 100,000 and seems like it's not looking back.
Yeah, exactly. And you looked at FFTY. We can also take a look at ARKK
Absolutely.
because this is very indicative of that more speculative kind of growth for the most part. So also outpacing the major indexes today by quite a bit. So also a sense of that sort of flavor that you were talking about with that speculative risk on mentality here, Justin.
Very good point. I mean, again, there's a lot of different ways to look at the market to see where the strength is. And certainly one of the things that's sticking out right now is where the strength is are in some of these areas with the high growth, the high momentum, the high relative strength, the things that people have been saying, oh my gosh, these valuations are so high, they are so extended, they're just getting extendeder.
Right. And so, Justin, I think then for retail traders, for individual traders who watch this show, then their question's probably going to be, well, dang, I should have bought XYZ speculative, no revenue, no earnings kind of stock that was up 20% over the last week or whatever that's up again today. So what do you say to traders when you are in this type of environment? Because I feel like something that we keep going back to is there's a difference between being aggressive and being reckless. So I think that's just a good reminder in this kind of environment.
Mhm. Well, and it's look, there's no way to, turn back time, and go back in the past to fix things. All you can do is learn from it and get better in the future. And each of these lessons that you learn along the way helps you become a better trader, as long as you kind of do that reflection, that post analysis to really kind of say, okay, was there something I needed to change? Sometimes there's not.
Mhm.
And it's not
Right.
necessarily, well, go ahead.
No, no, no. I'm just agreeing. Go ahead.
Yeah, so and it's not necessarily just speculative
Yeah.
names that are going on. I mean, when you look at the the FNGS, the FANG stocks, these are these are your mega caps.
Yeah.
You got Broadcom in there. You've got stocks that have strong earnings growth. So
Right.
there are a lot of big earnings growth leaders that are leading the
Mhm.
charge here. It's not, it's just the ones that are the bigger movers are the ones that are doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah, and when I see a stock that has an incredible day, and maybe I'm not familiar with the ticker, or I missed it, I just keep going back to, okay, well, am I still in some of the other leaders, or some of the more established liquid, like what you're talking about, Justin, and trying to let those ride? Because to me, that's more sustainable than just trying to hop on over to every time there's a new shiny object. If I don't have that sort of conviction and
Right.
that laser focused entry point too, right?
Yeah, and I mean, the reality is, if you don't have a good entry point, it's really hard to establish any holding or sell rules,
Right.
because, okay, where do I get out? Where do I know that I'm wrong? And if you don't have those risk management rules in place, then you're opening up a whole nother host of problems, and you don't want to do that, because at the end of the day, while it's okay that you're not making as much money as maybe you could have, you certainly don't want to lose more money than you should be.
Right. Okay, well, just some food for thought as we're seeing a lot of those high flying speculative stocks. I know our audience is always asking us questions about all the hottest stocks. So just wanted to throw that in there. Next on our list, let's take just a quick look. You talked about RSP. Well, let's just look at the mid caps here. A very similar look, Justin, and small caps today. We're still sort of in pullback mode. We are above the 50-day line and above this previous marked low. But what do you think about this divergence that we're continuing to see here in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's really hard to justify going to areas where the relative strength is much poorer. Now, look, if there is sector rotation,
Right.
then almost by nature you're going to see some of the areas with lower relative strength, or with the relative strength lines in downtrends. Those are the ones that are going to come on. But so far, that sector rotation keeps on kind of teasing, but not really materializing for more than a day or two.
Yeah. So we'll continue to focus on those relative strength leaders. I like it. Okay, Justin. Speaking of stocks with a solid long-term track record of relative strength and price outperformance, APH was a standout in today's session, up 2.4%, clearing a short consolidation, almost a shelf-like here after a breakout in early November. And this is a stock that has not only that relative strength factor that we like to see, but very stable earnings here.
Yeah, so whenever you get that combination of a growth rate, and this in this case it's 15%, so not huge, but respectable, double digits, and an earning stability that's low. This is at 7. That's a 1 to 99 rating, and the lower number means it's more stable. That kind of puts you in that long-term leader quality, as long as you pointed out on the monthly chart, you have that relative strength to boot. And I should disclose, I do have a small position in this in one of my accounts that I don't trade as much. So this is in kind of that long-term leader status. A lot of times when we were talking about this on IB Live today, a lot of times you can buy these on pullbacks. And this one was getting support at its 200-day moving average line, got back above the 50-day moving average line, tried a couple times, and then really kind of started going much, much stronger. And since then, since that kind of change, it's really been holding above the 21-day moving average line. So again, not super speedy. Some people might, kind of get a little bored with
Hmm.
this, that is
Right.
that it's not that fast. But uh, again, as long as you're getting the relative strength, then you're getting something that is paying you for that single stock risk. And again, when something has the earnings behind it, and one of the things that I like to look at is on that weekly chart, kind of looking at the green line, which is our earnings line. And you can kind of see this was, getting a little softer, but then has really kind of ramped back up. And you see a little bit of a decline there in the earnings growth. It, was in the double digits, kind of went to single digits and red for a little bit, but has really kind of ramped up. So those are some of the things, especially when you see that acceleration. That was something that the founder of Investors Business Daily, Bill O'Neill, was a big fan of. A lot of institutions kind of demand that from their companies that they're investing in, and that was one of the reasons why this was our stock of the day today. So Patrick
Hmm.
Seitz wrote an article on this, so it can kind of give you a sense of how we kind of do this evaluation on something that's not going to be necessarily going up 15% a day like some of the stocks that we're seeing right now, but is more of a steady eddy. And at the end of the day, as that monthly chart showed, you can get some really serious outperformance. Just a little bit over
Yeah.
the S&P 500 can go a long way. And if you do that over time, that compounds out to something incredible.
Yeah. And Justin, maybe it's just me, but playing devil's advocate with the whole issue with poor breadth, I feel like, you see a stock like this, not really one that you would think of as, oh, there's just such this selective pool of so few stocks to choose from. It does seem like, if you're there looking and screening or watching shows like this one or IBD Live, there are those sort of maybe kind of hidden gems, but it's not like, oh, there's only 7 stocks for people
Right.
to trade right now?
Yeah, I mean, between the 5,000 stocks that you have to choose from and the 5,000 ETFs that you have to choose from, there's usually something out there, right? Again, it's really unusual that you don't have anything, even when
Yeah.
things are extended. So we had a number of stocks that we were putting on Swing Trader today,
Mhm.
and leaderboard also
Yeah.
included it. We'll go over CrowdStrike. That was a new addition to leaderboard. So there are still those stocks out there, but you don't know when you buy which ones are going to work. That's one of the things that you have to remember, that even the best traders have a lot of trades that don't work. The difference is that a lot of times they get out of those trades very quickly when they're proving
Right.
not to work, and they move that money into things that are working and let those things kind of carry their portfolio. And if you can do that, then you're going to put yourself
Mhm.
amongst those elite traders that really can do very well.
Yeah. So if breadth is showing us that it's slim pickings, I don't think the pickings are that slim.
Right.
If there's stuff like this that's,
Well,
setting
again, when you have
up.
10,000, equities to choose from, slim pickings of 1%, that's still a lot of things to choose from.
Yeah, exactly. So good stuff there. Let's go to Bros. This is the coffee shop that I haven't been to yet, but I know Lexi on the video team, she's been there. Sounds like Webby has also been to a Dutch Brothers. Have you been to a Dutch Brothers?
I have not. So I'm at this point going by what other people say. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people say that the footprint is very small, the staff is really nice, and the stock, well, that's going up. So that's the part that
Say
I
no
like to see.
more.
Right. So this was something that we did add onto Swing Trader at the end of the day. Again, we've seen a lot of these stocks that had spectacular results, or reactions, I should say, to their earnings results. And there are those that kind of took pauses and then just kept going. This was one of them. It never really crossed below the low of its gap up day, which was a breakout in itself. So
Mhm.
it did kind of cross that level and stayed above there and has just made progress. Now we got to pull back to the 21-day moving average line. So While again, a lot of things were just kind of holding steady, or some of these that were just continuing to go. This kind of set up for a new potential entry. I would say that this is more of a swing entry, not
Mhm.
your traditional buy point, but
Right.
I like pullbacks of the 21-day moving average line. And this market seems like it's not even giving you that. Some of the stocks are not even pulling back to their 10-day moving average lines. So for something that pulls back to the 21-day moving average line, I think the action here
Yeah,
today did give you a setup here to use, and a very easy way to kind of cut your loss quickly. If
exactly.
if it cuts, if it cuts below the low of Friday, well, then hey, this might need a little bit more time to brew, if you will.
There you go. Yeah, it's a very clear way to manage your risk. So we
Mm.
like that. Okay, and you mentioned CrowdStrike being added to leaderboard. Look at today's gain, up 5.5%. And Justin, who would have thought when the world couldn't function that one day in July that this stock would make the kind of comeback that it has? But it's not like we didn't predict. We waited for those
Yeah.
moving averages to right themselves. It broke out, pulled back, and now is showing more strength here.
Yeah, this was a big winner for me earlier in the year, but I certainly didn't know that this was going to come back. I got out. I was actually kind of selling some on the way up, and so it wasn't something that I felt like I had to hold on to and hope. But
Mhm.
now there's a lot of it's not just CrowdStrike. There's a lot in the group
Yeah.
that are looking very strong. Palo Alto, which for anyone that might have seen that today and thought it was down 50%, don't worry, that was just a split. And you've got cyber, CYBR. You've got
Fortinet.
Fortinet. There's a whole host of these stocks that are right there at highs. They're looking strong. These again, it's not like they're hugely
Mhm.
speculative. A lot of these do have very strong earnings growth numbers, and you do have those that are kind of on the newer side too. So you've got new blood like Rubric, but the whole group is kind of looking very interesting. A lot of stocks in that group are looking strong, and so CrowdStrike, was it did have a kind of a breakout above that 200-day moving average line, kind of a low handle, but still in the upper half, and it's continuing there. Now we had another pullback to the 21-day moving average line, a break of
Mhm.
a downtrend. So again, this
Right.
was an alternative entry, a little bit higher than that initial breakout, but you've got more time now above your
Right.
200-day moving average line. You now have the 50-day moving average line above the 200-day moving average line. So you got a few more things that kind of give you a little better a better sense that the strength is returned here. Not to mention that relative strength line,
Yeah.
which is it's trending above its moving average lines. Those are the orange lines and the blue lines that you have on that green relative strength line. So we're trending above those moving average lines, kind of showing that look, the relative strength is returning back to this. If investors weren't interested in it, we wouldn't be either. It's one of those things that you have to kind of not think that you're smarter than the market, but when you do see, hey, money is flowing here, this is something that's outperforming, strength begets strength, and we're all about looking at that strength. CrowdStrike has it.
Yeah. So the leaderboard team decided to strike and add this back. I believe they're viewing this as a new handle on this larger cup with handle base here.
Right, and that's the case a lot of times when you have a handle, you can sometimes get a little bit of progress and then kind of another handle like action. You can see that not just with cups, but also with double bottoms and
Mhm.
other types of patterns. So, again, you could call it a lot of different things. The basic idea here is that you took a pause,
Right.
right, and you came out of that pause with some significant strength. Volume percent change on today's action, 45%. So it wasn't just a move that
Yeah.
was your Aunt Sue down the street. This was some real money behind this move.
Yeah. Good stuff, Justin. All right. That is it for today, everyone. Justin, thanks for your thoughts as always.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. And thanks everyone so much for tuning in. That is it from us for today, but we will be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live, investors.com/IBD Live for all the details on that. We will see you there starting 10 minutes before the opening bell. And tomorrow is Tuesday. So, in addition to our Stock Market Today video live at 5 p.m. Eastern, we have our weekly Swing Trader Status Update show live on YouTube. So don't miss that. All right, everyone. We'll see you there and see you back here tomorrow.